Milky Way for blood, evolution in my veins. I'm gone, I've been far away. I'm illuminated now, make a move, start a waves. I've been breathing on my diet for a long time. I had a vision from the birds, they want to go sign. Artificially validated away. I'm your future, past and present, I'm a fine line. Yeah, I'm a listening of this illusion. I don't really hear about an intrusion. I don't feel the same, I just flow. I don't need gravity, I don't need room. When I move, it's in a quick rumble. I won't ever fold in a stumble. And I don't need to be humble. Break down walls like Jericho. When I I'm from outer space, I got Milky Way for blood, evolution in my veins. I'm gone, I've been far away, I'm illuminated now, make a move, start a waves. I've been breathing on my diet for a long time. I had a vision from the birds, they want to go sign.
Hello guys and girls, and welcome back to the racing line for round 3, races 5 and 6 of the Racing Line Clio Cup, powered by GT Omega Racing. I'm your host Jack Johns. We are live on the Racing Line YouTube and Twitch, and VCO eSports YouTube and Twitch. Although I'm seeing dropped frames from OBS, and I'm not sure why. That's never good at this stage. That is worrying. Let me know what it's like. We are here for round 3, races 5 and 6. Silverstone circuit, the national layout. Not much to it, as you can see from that track map. It's a very short circuit. There's only about 6 turns. Kakala says hello in chat. Little wave emoji on Twitch. Let's have a look at what's happening in practice right now. Look at those times. Very close around this short circuit. Frames seem to be stabilizing, but it's still looking pretty high, and I'm not quite sure why. There's no VPN issues today. But thank you for joining us wherever you're watching from, whether it's on the Racing Line channels or the VCO eSports channels. Been fine whilst we're on so far. Let's have a look at that gaggle of cars that's just driven past and give that a test, because if I do need to reset, preferably it would be before qualifying. Got 5 cars here. This is just practice. There's 2 minutes left of practice right now. They've been practicing for half an hour before they head to a qualifying session, and then 2 races after this. 2 15-minute races. Oh, running a little bit wide there. The Win It or Bin It cars of Ridley and Bailiff with the bright green wheels. Go Patrick, says Dan Thornton. Hashtag Team ORD podium this week. Maybe. I mean, they're looking quick. Depart is up there in P3, just 700ths off of your top 2 in this practice. Let's have a look at those actual lap times and not the gap. Best times are 104.5s, 2 104.5s and a 104.6. Under 1 second for the whole field looks correct, Mr. Thornton. Yes, it is, and that's the nature of a circuit like this, isn't it? 6 turns. Oh, big crash there for John Bailiff, I think that was, or Carl Ridley. Sam Van Olst joining late for Goldwing. He is out on track. The number 92 machine, the Belgian driver. He'll probably ruin that 1 second with his first timed lap. Listen to those little Clio engines roar around these turns. Oh, he's got Garraday in his way. Going to get right up close behind him and across the line. Anyway, as we go into qualifying, I'll give you a rundown of the order. I can't see any complaints, even though I can see a lot of frames dropped since I've started this stream, which is annoying. I hope that doesn't interfere too much with the action tonight. I don't know too much about computers, so anyone knows the optimal settings for streaming, you'd think I'd know them by now. I just don't. Seems to be getting worse. The more updates iRacing brings, the less the computer can handle it. It doesn't matter how many guides you watch with all the bitrate info and all that stuff. Doesn't make any sense to me. Anyway, timer ticks over. 8 minutes qualifying will begin shortly. I think they only get 5 laps, if I remember rightly. Nice little ghost puff of smoke there as it ticks over and the 8 minutes will begin. I will change this back to gap so that we can see what it looks like. Let's have a look at that pit lane cam. First time we get a nice solid pit lane camera to watch them all come flying out the pits in this first minute. Look at them all filtering out. Let's get the old track map up there. There seems to be a meatball. There's a meatball motorsport car there playing a little bit smarter. That's the Irish flag. So that's Kieran Dempsey, who's let everybody go. He's given himself a bit of a gap, although not much of one. There's Kevin Anfield for slow in, slide out. Also a bit of a gap. Now this, who's this? This is Martin Wallace. He wants a clean lap. He's not worried about slipstream. And I think that's Donnie Henriksen actually there, also still in the pits. I can't... Oh yeah, it is Donnie Henriksen still in the pits. Kevin Anfield, Australian driver, is near the back of this. So let's... Who is first out? It's Roman Persky again. We've been on board with him before. I think third in line is Eric Manenveld. So let's go on board with Eric for a lap of this Silverstone circuit, shall we? And show you just how small and fast it is. He's behind the 2 Team Husingveld machines. So he's just crossed the line now and the lap time starts. So, fast into turn 1. It's the 5th gear right-hander of turn 1. Coasts into that corner and then gets the throttle back down on the exit. Gets over to the right-hand side, opens up turn 2. Should be flat out through turn 2 and braking just as you exit. Nice wide entry into turn 3, although look at the Husingveld car ahead. Took a much wider line. Not sure if that was a mistake from Sigmund up the road. But Manenveld hitting that apex nicely. And now they're on the back straight. And that's half the lap done already. Just 2 corners left now, realistically. Technically 3 in turn numbers, but 2 corners that you have to think about. Brakes nice and late. Really late apex for this. Careful of the rear end. Tyres are still cold right now as the session's only just begun. And then you hold it tight to this long right hander and look at that wide lines. That Husingveld car is definitely setting up the next lap. He's not worried about this lap. It's all about the next one. But Eric Manenveld looks to be on for a decent lap. His first run through. Badger Graveling on Twitch says, wonder if Team ORD will do better if I cheer for them on 2 channels at the same time. Why not try it? Persky goes straight up to the top with the 104.7. Sigmund, 5 temps back. Bailiff, 5 temps back. Burns, 5 temps back. Do you know what? I'm going to put it back on best time. Look at that. Half a second quicker. Dupart goes to the 2nd position with a 0.9 for ORD. And speaking of ORD, the Polish driver obviously being pretty strong in recent form in this Clio car. Seems to be suiting his style, which is great news for, for the team and the driver. But whilst we're on the subject of ORD, I think this is a good time to go through those team standings, which look a little bit like this. So there's been a bit of a jumble since the first round. So the points have been done, the penalties have been given out, and this is your new team order. Lurchus Euskadi dropped to the bottom of the table with 61 points, just 2 points behind Northside Racing Red, who are a little bit hindered with Donny Alpha Henriksen not being at the previous round. Lurchus Galicia, 75 points there in P10. With slow in, slide out in P9 with 86 points, with Dan Downing making his debut round. And a race win, just like Kevin Anfield. That's 2 race wins for slow in, slide out. Zenith Aleta, Persky has tyre warmers. He's just that quick, he is, the Team Husingveld boy. They will say, in fact, if they were in here right now, they will say it's all to do with the pedals and buy yourself some Husingvelds. That's what they would say. ORD, this is how we got onto the subject of the team's championship. Shout them out. They've gone from 12th to, is that 8th place? 12th to 8th place with 88 points. ZFG went from 11th to 7th with 90 points, just 2 points ahead of ORD. Meatball Motorsport went from 7th to 6th with 94 points. Send It or Bend It went from 8th to 5th with 97 points. All very close in that mid-point battle. You got Northside Racing Gold, 104 points. Still really close between all of these teams, you know. Win It or Bin It up in the top 3. They actually dropped down, as did NSR Gold, with Goldwing jumping from 4th to 2nd place with 122 points. Only 18 points behind Team Husingveld, but Husingveld only had 1 driver last time out, so let's bear that in mind. And the Drivers' Championship, as I cut across, this is what the Drivers' Championship looks like. We'll go in reverse order today. Fancy mixing it up a bit. Jan Weiswanger at the bottom of the field with 13 points. Donny Henriksen, 5 points ahead in 23rd. Martin Wallace, 25 points. Martin Kier, 21st, equal on points with Ika Lequay for Lurchus Euskadi. 34 points for David Corpus. Slow in, slide out. Daniel Downing's debut puts him 36 points up into 18th straight away. Alejandro Caraday, 1 point ahead, and 1 point ahead of him his teammate for Lurchus Galicia, Jesus Amundare in P16. Joseph Gibson for Team ORD is even on points with Stephen Burns in Send It or Bend It. Goldwing Motorsport, Sam Van Alst on 45 points, equal on points with Anders Kaiser for NSR Gold. Patrick Dupart for Team ORD is up in P11 with 47 points, 2 points ahead of Anders Kaiser. Kevin Anfield with that win and showing up to both rounds. He's got 50 points. He's in the top 10 on his debut league season for slow in, slide out. That's a great showing from him. John Bailiff is only 4 points ahead of debutant Kevin Anfield. Fabian Siegman missed the last round. His 55 points. He was leading the championship after round 1. Drops to 8th place after missing 1 round. Eric Manitveld ahead of him by 1 point. 56 points there on the leaderboard. P6 is Carl Ridley for Win It or Bin It with 60 points. Gregory Otley, 65 points. A great showing for ZFG up there in the top 5. In 4th place is Lucas Egerblad for NSR Gold. 77 points on the board. 77 points also for Duncan Murray, Goldwing Motorsport there. The South African driver absolutely buzzing to be in the top 3. Kieran Dempsey, the Irish driver, now in P2 with 81 points. And your leader, Roman Perschke for Team Husingveld, 85 points, just 4 points ahead. Yes, Jerry and Kakula, I think by the sounds of it then, it is starting to happen. The worry is true, but I don't know why. I don't know why. I could try and reset it now with only 2 minutes to go, but that would be annoying. But I suppose it's better than having a stuttery stream. I wouldn't know what to do though. Is resetting it actually going to fix it? My aging PC. Oh, this is a risk. I don't know because it took ages to load in. I feel like we should just try and fight through it. But is it still stuttering bad? Let me know. OBS can't handle all the amazing liveries. Probably. Pixel Poem says Perschke is going to win. Ruined the whole stream, that has. But Ridley has shot up into P2. And not far off Roman Perschke. He's split the Husingveld boys. Has the Win It or Bin It driver. And the 8 minutes is up and we go into the race. Kier not setting a time. Will be starting in 24th place. Let's have a look at the grid. And your difference in times. Roman Perschke then takes his 3rd pole position in a row. That's 9 points from qualifying alone for that man. Carl Ridley gets himself 2 points for qualifying P2. Just 25 thousandths off of pole position. Fabian Siegman is there in P3. Less than a 10th off of pole as well. Patrick Dupart there in P4. Daniel Downing P5. Stephen Burns P6. And then Eric Manitveld and Kieran Dempsey. That's Send It or Bend It in 6th and 7th. Great showing for them. Kieran Dempsey, Lucas Egerblad, Anders Kaiser, John Bailiff and Sam Van Olst. Round off your top 12. And your final 12 looks like this. It's Duncan Murray, Gregory Otley, David Corpus, Ika Lequay, the Lurchus Euskadi boys on row 8. Joe Gibson and Martin Wallace, row 9. Kevin Anfield, Donny Henriksen, row 10. And Jan Weiswanger and Jesus Amundare, row 11. And Alejandro Caraday and Martin Kier round off row 12. Let's go back and hide that. Best starting camera. Not that one. It'll be the pit lane, I guess, which is an awkward camera. Not really. It's going to have to be this one. Or what about this one? No, can't see anything. Anyway, it's nearly time. Let's get rid of that dashboard. Just waiting for a few more drivers to come to the grid. Got a couple of revs already. Dempsey, Kaiser, Henriksen not on the grid just yet, but they've only got 12 seconds left. And here we go then. Race 1 is about to get underway. 14 laps, Silverstone, round 3, race 5. And the lights are out, and away they go. As we see one of the ORDs, that's Joe Gibson, pull out straight away. It's a great start for Roman Perschke. As usual, Carl Ridley slots into P2. Fabian Siegmann moves up into P1. Well, he's P3, sorry. I was trying to reach at the same time, because that's a big paragraph. But here they go through turn 2 and 3. Is there going to be any lockups? It's Dan Downing sliding wide. Eric Mannenfeld has pushed him into his teammate. Dan Downing goes down the order, as does Stephen Burns. So that could be classed as a send it or bend it on send it or bend it accident as they go down. Duncan Murray's up a few places already, I think. In fact, quite a few of them up. 3-4 places there in the background. As we go down towards the left-hander of Luffield, Carl Ridley was looking feisty there. Looked like he had to defend Roman Perschke from the win it or bin it driver, the Australian behind. This is what it looks like in the rear-view mirror. You can see that car very much there in his rear-view mirror. Let's have a look at this shot. I love this angle. You can see just about all the cars come filtering through. Oh, so it is just the stream. Bit rate changes takes effect on the fly. Could lower it slightly if it doesn't seem to get along. Not sure how well the restream handles it if you do that for multiple channels. People are watching this race all at different points. Right, lower bit rate or higher bit rate? Try that. See if it makes it worse or better. Still looks like it's dropping, but we need to get back to the action just in case some people are seeing this. It's frustrating. If it doesn't look like I can fix this on the fly. Might have to do a re-recording of this at some point. They're all doing very well, though. All in single file still. At the back, side by side through turn 1. That is Dan Downing versus Alejandro Carade through turn 1. It was very close as they got through there. And they did survive. So you can do turn 1 side by side. As Dan Downing moves up into P19 after his earlier slide. There was a bit of a lock-up ahead there. And that's Kevin Anfield going side by side with... That's... is it... Kjær, the Danish driver, Martin Kjær for NSR Gold. Lucas Egelblad has had an issue, and Kieran Dempsey is showing us out of this race as Siegmann, I think, is about to pass Carl Ridley down the inside. Oh, turns in, goes to turn in on Carl Ridley, but he can't quite get his nose in. He's going to squeeze him. That's risky on Carl, who's from Australia, but he did pinch him to the apex, and he gains that position. That is Fabian Siegmann up into P2. Kieran Dempsey, I wonder... He said he's just jumped to the pit, so I wonder if he had a crash. That's Lucas Egelblad losing the rear end and going off through Luffield, which I'm sure Dan Thornton will tell me. Oh, and then he waited for the whole field to pass, so that's fine. Kieran Dempsey is just not on circuit. I don't know what's happened to him. He's down 16 places. And it hasn't shown him do anything, really. Oh, I've just seen Kakalo and Andre say lower. Zenith says you should just switch internet providers. I don't know if it is the internet, though. Fastest lap goes to Fabian Siegmund. I need to try and keep this, so it sounds like everyone can hear me, but like 2 minutes behind. Fabian Siegmund, though, now can he make a repeat of race 1 at Knock Hill, where he passed his teammate in the last closing laps of the race, who led the whole race? And look at this free wide fight near the back. This is 21st, 22nd, and 23rd. Stephen Burns, Weisfanger, and Egelblad nearly 3 wide as they go down towards turn 3 in Silverstone. And look at that, that's Caraday and Downing still. No, it's Amundere and Downing having a little fight. Amundere goes to move over on the NSR Gold car. They're 3 wide going down the back straight. Downing's going to go down the inside of both of these cars. He's chasing them down. He's on the left-hand side of both of them. Can he get it done down the inside of Luffield? Oh, Jesus is going to have to try and back out. He gets sandwiched by the NSR Gold car and the slow in, slide out car, who doing this pincer movement of a move. And Dan Downing is now going to try and go around the outside, and the Lurchers cars touch each other. That's the Lurchers Galicia cars crashing into each other, sliding around that corner. And Caraday will let him keep that position, I'm sure. But Dan Downing, did he get that position on Martin Kier? They're still side by side, heading down towards turn 1. It's going to be risky stuff as they go down towards there. This fight is going to go on for a while, it seems. Dan Downing, though, getting the move done. He's now up into P17. Next on the order, as he loses the rear end, he's now going to have to fight him even longer. It looks like the NSR Gold car of Kier is going to fight back down the back straight. I was going to say next on the order is Kevin Anfield, his teammate, but he's 2 seconds up the road. Let's have a look at this P5-6 battle. It's Manintveld and Bailiff here. Send it or bend it and win it or bin it. Let's have a look if that's helped the stream. I've just changed one thing. I've seen a bar go green, so maybe that's going to help with the stuttered frames. It's only taken 7 laps out of the 14. I'll keep an eye on chat in 2 minutes' time to see if that's fixed anything. Luckily, as predicted, this track was going to throw up a bit of a train as long as people are driving safely. So let's have a rundown of the order then halfway through this race as Duncan Murray and Gregory Otley are side by side into Luffield. It's Roman Persky leading. Oh, Gregory Otley nearly touches Duncan there through the left-hander. Through the right-hander they go now. Greg Otley is going to go around the outside of Duncan Murray in the ZFG machine versus Goldwing Motorsport. And they've got Ika Lequay behind them for the Lurchers Euskadi team, who's just waiting to pick up those pieces. Gregory Otley and Duncan Murray are going to go side by side, but Ika Lequay's got the run. They're not going to go 3 wide into turn 1. One of them is going to have to back out. Gregory Otley round the outside of turn 1 of Duncan Murray, the South African driver. And look at the run that Ika's got. He's going to shoot to the left. Duncan Murray defends to the right-hand side. He might be losing 2 places here. Zenith says, I think we're live on stream now. That sounds like good news, but Duncan Murray goes back down the inside of Greg Otley on the ZFG car. He gets it stopped and gets a good exit, but now they're going to continue side by side. They're going to go 4 wide on the exit, almost. ORD and Lurchers Euskadi side by side. That's Joe Gibson looking to make some moves, and I can see a bit of a swap over up ahead as well. It's John Bailiff under pressure from Sam Van Nolst. Anders Kaiser getting involved as well, but behind this little 5-car fight, that is Ika Lequay and Joe Gibson still side by side. Into Luffield they go. The right-hander, Joe Gibson on the inside, Lequay on the outside. Corpus hoping to catch up as they continue to fight down this main straight. Lequay and Gibson swapping. I don't know who is going to come out on top of this. Joe Gibson's car we're on top of right now. You can see Ika Lequay's car on the left-hand side. He's got the run out of the exit, and behind is another Lurchers Euskadi car. So he's in a Lurchers Euskadi bread sandwich. Sam Van Olst is swapping over with John Bailiff, who I think is side by side here. And it looks like he's moved up into P6, has Sam. He's under pressure, gets a bit of a tap from the Win It or Bin It car and looks up the inside, does the Dane. Kaiser in the number 98 machine. That's dangerous in these cars, because if they even slightly touch, then, well, it all goes wrong. It looks like Dan Downing has caught his teammate Kevin Anfield now. We said he was next on the order. Lap 9 of 14. Sam Van Olst and John Bailiff side by side again. John going around the outside. He's going to have the inside for the next corner. And I think that move will get done. Egerblad and Kier also side by side. There's battles all over the place. Bit rate is kicked in. Video's 240p, but at least it's running smoothly. Bunch of racing potatoes. Let's see what happens. Let me know if that's better. Anyway, this fight is continuing on. What a race. And Fabian Siegmann is doing what I said might happen, as Kaiser's just passed John Bailiff there. Murray and Lequay still fighting. There's fights all over the place. I don't know what to watch here. As long as the orange and blue potatoes are happy, says Dan Thornton, or doing okay, he's happy. It's 3 wide again. Joe Gibson in the middle of a Lurch's car and a Goldwing car. Who's going to come out on top of this? The blimp cam not showing us much up here. The chopper cam might be a little bit better. Unreal racing. It's a shame about the bit rate. Hopefully that's stopped. Doesn't look like we've had any stutters for a while. H Brandon 024 in Twitch chat says go Greg. Greg Otley currently up in P9, 5 places up from where he started. He's very much having a good race. And I'll tell you what, John Bailiff is still under pressure from Anders Kaiser here for Northside Racing Red. Look at how he pushes him along. Let's go on board with Kaiser. Side by side. Oh, look how close they're getting. John is squeezing him to the grass here. Turns into the corner. Kaiser does not. Is he trying to get a switch back by the looks of it? These guys are playing it fine with the margins of these cars. We're on top of Anders Kaiser right now. This is P8, the battle for P7. And the battle for the lead is closing down as well. Corpus and Gibson are still side by side. Corpus looks to have outbroken Gibson here. Lequay's got the best view of this fight. They're still side by side through turn 1. ORD versus Lurchus Euskadi here. This is the battle for 10th technically with the cars up the road, but that's just, you'll have to ignore that battles box because the cars are so close together. As Ridley and Dupart are fighting for P3 right now. So Patrick trying to claim that podium from the Australian driver, Carl Ridley, for win it or bin it. Patrick Dupart, ORD versus win it or bin it. Who's going to come out on top? We're on lap 13 of 14. There's only 2 laps to go, and Dupart is only 2 tenths behind, as is Siegmann. Let's have a look at your lead fight. There's your Team Husingveld boys, P1 and 2. And Roman Persky is going to come under pressure again from his own teammate in the dying stages of this race. It's Knock Hill all over again. And Roman Persky will be remembering that moment as well. He will know that he lost out on the last lap, pretty much. Last 2 laps to his teammate in the closing stages of the race. Taking the win. They're not playing around. Goes to have a look. Thinks better of it. Tucks in behind. You can see Amundare and Weisfanger swapping loads as well at the back. Let's have a look at this little fight. Meatball Motorsport versus Lurchus Galicia. P22. Kaiser and Bailiff are still fighting. Bailiff going a little bit wide. Kaiser gets that position up into P7. Lap 14 now. This is the final lap. Siegmann closing. Closing. We're going to have to go on board of this. That's Roman Perschke. Here's Sigmund. Look at, oh, gets right up to the bumper of Roman. This is your final lap then. Lap 14 of 14. Here we go. I've fallen into the trap. Orange potatoes are too fast. Zenith is looking at Husingveld pedals. It looks like they're doing their job. They are advertising the brand as Sigmund looks to the inside, thinks better of it. Is he going to make a late send? No. Roman Perschke turns into the corner, and it looks like he might have it unless it opens up on the inside. Oh, he thought about it. He thought about it, did Fabian Sigmund, but it's just no room. They exit the final turn now, and here they go. Finally, we've got there. Lap 14, the bit rate's improved. We've got a smooth stream at last. And lap 14 of 14 for race 1 today. It looks like it's going to be Roman Perschke taking the win with Fabian Sigmund in P2. Kyle Ridley does bring it home in P3 with Patrick Depart a 10th behind. Eric Manenveld a top 5. Sam Van Olst, who showed up late, the Belgian driver, once again just showing up, getting pace. He is up 6 positions. I think he has the most positions gained. No, that's a lie. Martin Kier is up 8 positions to P16. Kieran Dempsey, 2 laps down. Something going on with Dempsey's PC, I guess. All having PC issues today. Well, we made it. Hopefully race 2 will show you just as much action without the stutters. Martin Kier goes straight out on track to provide you with a bit of entertainment. Kieran Dempsey's joined him. The Meatball Motorsport team, the Purple Machine. I've changed something to make... I'm hoping the bitrate goes back up slightly now so that you can stop looking at potatoes driving round. What did I change? Let's see if you computer guys know what I changed and if it's actually helpful. I changed the keyframe interval, and it seemed to have fixed it straight away. The little red bar went green, and then I upped the bitrate again, and it seems to have not gone red. So, who knows? If that was the issue. Anyway, shall we have a look at that full race result of race 1? So here it is then. Your results of race 1. We've got 2.5 minutes until race 2 begins. Roman Perschke took your win. For Team Husingveld, it was a Husingveld 1-2. Fabian Sigmund in P2. The team's championship looking strong for them now, with both of them finishing that high up in race 1. Remember, everyone in race 1 scores points, so a lot of points on offer for those top 2 for sure. Kyle Ridley, give him a round of applause. The number 27 Australian driver, for win it or bin it, takes a podium. He's in P3. Patrick Depart just behind him, did not make it easy for him. He was right there. He had an opportunity to try and take it, couldn't quite pull it off, but he did not let off that pressure, and that's all he needs to do. And they're going to be starting side by side in this next race, but at the back of the grid. Patrick Depart, Polish driver for ORD. Great drive from him. Eric Manenveld had another good drive. Number 99, send it or bend it in P5. Sam Van Olst, as I said, Goldwing Motorsport up there in P6. Anders Kaiser, a lot of the 90s up there. 99, 92, 98. Anders Kaiser in P7 for Northside Racing. Red did beat John Bailiff in the end for win it or bin it. Those three having a pretty good race all the way through. I bet they enjoyed that. Greg Otley will be happy, I reckon, with P9, although he nearly got a win last time out at Brands Hatch, but still another strong showing from the number 93. Duncan Murray, P10 in the end, currently 3rd in the championship. Maybe disappointed, but then again, think back to where he was in terms of previous seasons, and he's been doing an absolute sterling job. Joe Gibson, P11 out of 24. So as chat is saying, Andre Majorek cheering for ORD. Strong finish for both ORD boys. Dan Thornton, great job by Patrick and Joe. 4th and 11th are some good results considering how close it all was, and it will definitely be putting them further up the order in the team's championship. This is the form they needed, and it looks like they're starting to come into their own. We're at the halfway point of the season exactly right now, so this is the perfect time. If they can continue this for the rest of the season, the ORD are looking, out of 12 teams, they're looking for a strong finish here, possibly even in the top 5 if everyone else keeps tripping over each other. Who knows? David Corpus, though, and Ika Lequay for Lurchus Euskadi, that team was at the bottom of the table, if you remember. They're 12th and 13th, so team's championship's actually going to be quite tight, I think. Slow in, slide out. It's 2x2. It's like Formula 1. Slow in, slide out there in 14th and 15th. Martin Kier, Stephen Burns, Lucas Egelblad down to P18. The Northside Racing Gold boys nearly next to each other. And then Donny Henriksen, Caraday, Isis Mundere, Jan Weisfanger, Martin Wallace and Kieran Dempsey. Martin Wallace down in 23rd. Not sure what happened to Martin. Can't remember if he got involved in an accident. And if he did, I did not see it because I was playing with bit rates. But there we go. I'm just going to take a quick sip of a drink before we do the grid for race 2. Remember, it's a full reverse. Top 16 only score points. Sounds like your GPU can't encode the stream fast enough, or it was coincidence and your smart finished downloading. Good one. Well done, Team ORD. 4th and 11th is a great team result, and Patrick is so close to podium. Are you just spamming my chats across all channels? Keep doing that. I love to see it. Right, let's have a look at the grid because we haven't got long. Kieran Dempsey and Martin Wallace, they're going to be starting on pole position. On row 1, Jan Weisfanger, Isis Mundere, Caraday, Henriksen, Egelblad, Burns, Kier, and Phil Downing and Ika Lequay round off your top 12. Your final 12 on the grid is like this. Corpus, Gibson, Murray, Otley, Bailiff, Kaiser, Van Olst, Manintveld, Depart, Ridley, Sigmund, and Perschke down in 24th. Watch them this race. Plenty of overtaking opportunities round here at Silverstone. So I expect to see the Husingvelds climb up if they don't get involved in any standard race 2 crashes. Dempsey's VR headset died on the grid, had to restart the game, started from the pits because of that. That's why he was 2 laps down, but here he is back at it again, and he's on pole position. Expect a strong race from him because he had pace, did Kieran Dempsey. He's side by side with Martin Wallace, who also has pace, but who's going to get the better start? Bit of wheel spin from Weisfanger behind, but it looks like Kieran Dempsey's got away nicely. Gibson and Corpus swapping over already in that mid-pack. So look at them all dicing and dashing around into turn 1. It doesn't look like anyone's rear is going to get tapped round, or am I going to speak too soon? No, fairly safe through turn 1, but the first heavy braking zone coming up to turn 2 and 3. Whoa, look at the gold car bounce over the curb. That's Egelblad off the road, off the circuit, and his race is done. A bit of a lock-up for Gregory Otley there. Nothing doing, no harm done. And it looks like the Husingveld boys are going to come straight through, but Egelblad can now just about see the rest of the field up ahead. And look at this great view from Gregory Otley's car. You can see the whole field in front of him right now as he brakes later than the Husingveld. There's a big crash up the road. That's a Lurchus Euskadi. It's another NSR car. Oh no, that's someone locked up there, I think, that caused that. Bit of a slide up ahead. Goldwing Motorsport and ORD rubbing wheels. That is Duncan Murray and Joe Gibson. In fact, Duncan Murray is in an ORD sandwich. John Bailiff is in there as well. Patrick Dupart being blinky once again. He was fine in race 1, I think, although I didn't pay too much attention. Your lead, though, Kieran Dempsey, only 4 tenths. He's not breaking away. Martin Wallace is holding on. Weisfang is holding on to P3. Amundere and Caraday are the Lurchus Galicia brick wall. Holding on to that top 5. Donny Henriksen stays up there. Stephen Burns is up there as well as the NSR car looks up. Let's have a look if we can have a quick replay. Greg Otley and Ridley swapping around. That was a weird reaction from Egelblad's car. Bouncing off something. Sam Van Olst. Oh, big lock-up from the... That's what happened to Corpus. I want to watch that one more time. I will get back to the race, I promise, but that looked pretty funny. So let's go and have a look at Corpus here. Watch this. Yeah, I mean, he was going... Whether or not that touch happened, he was going straight on. He locked up at a very high speed. Egelblad touched tyres with Burns. That's why the massive bounce. One victim only, says Zenith later. It's strange, right? Race 2. Eric Manenveld is down the order, though. What happened? Have I just forgotten what happened to Eric? Probably. Anyway, Siegmund is now already up into P14. He's racing past Duncan Murray here. He's going to go down the inside of Joe Gibson, but Joe Gibson will cover that off as Burns and Henriksen up the road are also side by side as they exit onto the straight. The Lurchus boys still holding on to P4 and 5. And I'll tell you what, I know it's a long way to go, right? But if Weiswanger gets a podium, I think I actually might cry at happy tears. Because he's been with us from the start as Jan Weiswanger. And this is going to be one of his best opportunities, I think. And look at the slow in, slide out, boys. I love this shot of these two cars and those two liveries. The throwback to Project Cars 2. One of the turning vane liveries. Me and Joshua Germany ran these cars in an Xbox League back in the day. And that is what Dan Downing and Kevin Anfield are effectively driving this season in iRacing, the Racing Line Clio Cup. We're on lap 4 of 14. Amundere has passed Caraday, as has Burns. Flashing lights. Caraday might have had a little bit of a touch if he's flashing his lights. A little bit unhappy. He's got two Danes behind him. The Dane army. The Scottish driver up the inside. Oh, he's lost his rear there, I think, as Caraday. I don't think that was from a touch. It looked from that angle that he'd done that by himself. And that is Henriksen now chasing down Stephen Burns. But they're all should be... The beauty of this is that they're all defending as much as they're attacking, which is what helps those drivers up the road. Not get away, but just hold on to those positions. 3, 4, 5 wide or something. I lost count. 3 wide at least into that left-hander. Still 2 wide, 2 by 2. The NSR cars, red versus gold. Dan Downing is looking feisty. Who's gained the most positions? Fabian Siegmund is up 9 positions. Roman Persky is up 7. So the Husingveld boys, Siegmund is in the points. Persky not quite, but he's nearly there. And it's a long race to go. Lap 5 of 14. There's going to be a big crash in this gaggle, and you know it. 2 by 2 by 2 they go through turn 1. And if they don't crash, I take it back. And fair play, boys. You have cleaned it up. And this race 2 is going to be insane. David Corpus down there in 23rd. Looks like he made the mistake on his own, realistically. Eric Manenveld, can't remember what happened to him, but he's 15 seconds back. And it looks... Who was the other one? Egelblad, who touched a tyre and bounced off. As I see, I think Duncan Murray. Yep, big crash for Duncan Murray. Off he goes. Let's have a look at what happened to him. He's going to cut across the ORD. Yep, there he goes. One more. Didn't look like he did anything, but he got a big old hit back from him. I didn't see which ORD it was that he touched. That'll be a tough one to call in the steward's room because it's differing lines. It looks like it might have been Joe, you know. Might not have been Duncan, but could be 50-50. Might get put down to a racing incident. Who knows? That'll be decided another time. But Duncan Murray will be disappointed with that. Stephen Burns passes Jesus Amundere on the outside of turn 2. Inside for turn 3. Henriksen and Downing also side. Oh, what a move from Donnie Henriksen. Dan Downing sends it down the inside, misses the apex by a car's width, and Donnie Henriksen says, my car will fit through there. Gets an absolute switchback. Absolute switchback. 14 laps is at least 7 laps too short for a full reverse grid, in my honest opinion, says SoFad. But we don't want them... the reverse grid is not to help the fastest drivers get the win. But... chaos can happen. It is possible to get a podium. There is still pretty much 7 laps to go. We're only halfway through this race, and they are halfway up the field. So it's not impossible for your Husingveld boys to get a win here, but the drivers are fast and difficult to pass most of the time. So the 15-minute races, realistically, this is probably... In fact, no, I am going to say it. I don't want to jinx it. I know we're only halfway through, but this is the cleanest race 2 we've had, and it's race 6 in total. We're on round 3. We should have had a safety car in both race 2s. We definitely don't need a safety car in this one. Kieran Dempsey had a nightmare in race 1. His VR broke. He started last, and he's not pulled away from Martin Wallace that much, though. Martin Wallace still holding on to that DRS zone, if it existed. He's still within that second. Jan Weiswanger for Meatball Motorsport in P3. Stephen Burns, though, will have something to say about that, I reckon. He's 1.7 seconds. Let's have a look at the lap times of these two drivers. Do you know what? The last laps, Jan Weiswanger was quicker, but it's because these guys are battling. In terms of best laps, though, Stephen Burns was 4 tenths quicker. Lap 8 of 14. Let's have another look at these guys fighting. Carraday's in P9. And Mundere's still holding on to that P5. Anfield on the inside of Carraday as they go down towards turn 1. Single file they go. You can just see that Lurch's car looking to pick a side. Look how close the whole train is. And it looks like he's gone to the other side. No, there he is. He appears. Does he have a look down the inside? Oh, he sticks his nose in. Kevin gives him just enough room on the apex. And look at that. You see how that was smart driving from Kevin Anfield. Carraday did not send it enough. As in, well, in terms of the rules, he sent it just the right amount. He got his nose in there, but he stopped it enough not to lock up or hit Kevin. And on the reverse flip side of that, Kevin Anfield missed the apex by a car's width. Let him stick his nose there. Still managed to accelerate out the corner earlier. And, well, there you have it. You don't know much more needs to be said. They both survive. They continue for another day. And now Carraday's under pressure from John Bailiff, Roman Persky, and Fabian Siegmann, who are on P11 and 12. Best helmet from Anfield. Carraday. Oh, yeah, he has got a funny helmet. Has Carraday. Still side by side in the background. Dan Downing's up into P5 now. Bailiff and Ridley swapping over. So Ridley's involved in this fight through the rear window of Kevin Anfield's car. Oh, big lock up. Did you hear it lock up just as we jumped off board then? You heard the engine revs drop down. Not sure if that was contact. I feel like he just broke too late. You heard it. The engine, ooh. You just hear it drop out there. Lost the revs, and now how many places did he lose? He's down in 16th, and I didn't actually remember where he was. Should we have a quick look at that again off board? It was by himself. He locked up. He panicked. He thought he was going to hit the Lurch's car. He done the right thing. He went wide, but look at all the cars come through. Tiny mistake from Kevin. And back to this fight then, this little train. John Bailiff leading the train. Not an easy man to pass. Is John, knows exactly what he's doing. Does make mistakes, but not often. Everyone's human. But John Bailiff, certainly a very strong driver at positioning the car, both passing and defending. And extremely consistent as well. Not sure what I would say his strength is. Got good qualifying pace, has John. If I had to pick what he's better at, defending or passing, I think he's got pretty good at defending these days. Passing, can't really remember. But defending, getting pretty damn good. Fabian Siegmann's having a look up the inside of that Lurch's car. Oh, it's going to get close between these two. Siegmann and Persky up into P8 and 9. They're probably working together. Although I could imagine... Oh, as one of the NSR cars has had a bit of a slide and spin there. Was he touched? Was he helped? Yes, he was. Carl Ridley shooting up the inside at the last second. Spun that car around and off he goes. Continues on his way. Oh, and there goes Sam Van Olst as well. This is where it starts then. Lap 11 of 14. That was contact. Who with? Kevin Anfield? Sam might have missed his apex there. I'm not sure if that's unfair of me to say from that angle. But he's down the order now, down in 22nd. He won't be happy with that. Your leader, Kieran Dempsey, still leads. He's 2 seconds ahead now. Jan Weiswanger will be coming under pressure from Stephen Burns very shortly. Is 4 tenths the gap now. Oh, he has a little look, does Stephen, already, as they're going to approach lap 12. He knows he has to get it done soon. Is he going to rob him? Is Stephen Burns? He is. He's going to go down the inside already. It's too late to move over. Yeah, now he's got his nose. Oh, he does. He just cuts across It does. Jan Weiswanger. Fabian Siegmann up the inside of Donny Alpha Henriksen. Dan Downing in P5 will be a little bit tougher to pass. But Jan Weiswanger just cut across the nose of Stephen Burns there. 2 laps to go. This is going to be a tough job indeed. Not impossible, but tough. Meatball Motorsport, never has Jan Weiswanger got a podium in the Racing Line Series, and this could be it. But Stephen Burns is no slouch. It looks like Jan's got the run down this back straight. Stephen Burns on his outside, though. Who's going to brake later? This is where it gets dangerous, because if Jan chooses to try and brake later than Stephen, who's already going to brake late, he might lock up. He doesn't, though. He gets it stopped. He actually broke early. He kept it safe, but Stephen Burns swoops around the outside, and looks like Dan Downing is going to follow him through. Oh, but Jan Weiswanger might keep his nose there. Can he get the exit? I don't think he can. Stephen Burns does move up a place, and Jan Weiswanger drops down to 5th, but it will still be a career best finish, I think, if I'm not mistaken, if he can hold on to that P5. In fact, these two might crash. He might go back up into P3, but Dan Downing is up the inside of Stephen Burns now. He's going to get onto the podium. Oh, they get rub wheels as they go through turn 1. Dan Downing, Stephen Burns, slow in, slide out, and send it or bend it. That's all his hope now, Jan Weiswanger, is that they're going to crash. But look behind him, it's Sigmund and Perschke. Might be looking to rob him of that P5 in this dying lap. I keep seeing Dan Thornton in chat. What is ORD doing at the moment? Dupart is in the points in 16th place. Gibson down in 20th. Corpus we saw have an incident. Van Olst had an incident. Manitveld, can't remember what happened to. Murray we saw have an incident. So those bottom 4 definitely having crashes of some sort. Oh, is this the opportunity Jan needed? There's contact between Downing and Burns as they go into the left-hander. And oh, he's left the inside a little bit too open as Jan. Fabian will definitely try and take that as soon as he can. He's looking up the inside, and I think he's going to get the run. It's going to ruin the run for Jan, and that means Roman Perschke is going to come up the inside as well. I think he's just trying to survive at this point to collect the points, is Jan Weiswanger, as we go on to the final lap, because he's not looking like he's taking risks in terms of fighting, which is, I mean, the smart thing to do, realistically. He might have been able to hold on for an extra lap or two, but the more you defend, the more risk you take. He's having a look at Roman Perschke. I'll give him a big round of applause if he can pull it off. You got Ridley and Bailiff, the 2 win it or bin it's next to each other now in P8 or 9, although Ridley possibly investigated for the NSR incident from what we saw. But great action all the way through, and I'm assuming, yeah, looking at the dropped frames number, no issues in this stream. Caraday and Amundare, 12th and 13th, still in the points. Lap 14 of 14. Kieran Dempsey is about to cross the line, and he does take a race win. Kieran Dempsey, then, the Irish driver for Meatball Motorsport, comes home in P1. Lights to flag victory. Martin Wallace comes home in P2, with Daniel Downing fighting his way up 8 places to take a podium in P3. Stephen Burns up 4 places, P4. Fabian Siegmann and Roman Perschke both up 18 places to finish P5 and 6. So I can't remember who it was. So for something. 14 laps too short for a reverse grid race. It is a 15-minute race. Slightly longer because it was a 1 minute 5 lap-ish. But they still made it up to P5 and 6. Jan Weiswanger. Oh, I mean, give him a round of applause anyway. Yeah, I'm going to do it. Hang on. Balance my microphone. Don't know how loud that was for you guys. I apologize. But he deserves a clap. He's P7 is that man. Held on to P3 for a very long time. Kyle Ridley up 14 places to finish P8, ahead of his teammate John Bailiff, who's up 8 places. Donny Henriksen dropped 4, but still finishes in the top 10. Greg Otley in P11 for ZFG. And the Lurchus cars, Lurchus Galicia, 12th and 13th respectively. Ike Lequay, 14th. Anders Kaiser and Patrick Dupart taking the final point of race 2. Kevin Anfield just missing out after that little mistake. One small mistake just dropped him out of the points. One of these NSR Gold cars was helped out of the points by another driver. Not sure which one. Which one of the NSR Gold cars that was. David Corpus had a big lock-up, went off by himself. Sam Van Olst was helped off the circuit, either missing his apex or Kevin turned into him. Not sure which one. Eric Manenfeld, I do not know what happened to. Joe Gibson. What did we see happen to Joe Gibson? I feel like we saw him in an incident. I can't remember. Do you know what? So much stuff has happened. I have started to forget all the action. It's not over. We've got interviews to do, of course. And the races are over. We've got some interviews. And you know what I did forget? And no one reminded me today. Where's Biggie Morello? He normally reminds me. Maybe it's because we were distracted by my bitrate issues or everyone mugging off my graphics card. It's a 2060 Super, guys. Come on. It's not bad. iRacing just keeps getting bigger and bigger and screwing it over. It's that building, that pit building that you see on your screen right now. That's not even on the half of the circuit that we use. That's taking up all my graphics. Anyway, we're on round 3. Silverstone complete. That's 6 races down out of 10. 5 rounds in total. We're off to Snetterton next week. Snetterton 300, a circuit that's going to throw up a whole lot more. I don't know how to put it in English. My mind's going. I need to go to bed. Many more battles, many more challenges, because it's not a short circuit. It's the full layout. It's the 300 layout. There's actual turns. It's a 2-minute lap, so the race will be about 7 laps. And there's going to be a much bigger spread in time, I reckon, because it's a much more technical circuit. And not many of the drivers will have driven it before. So it might be an even playing field, because it's not a very common track on the service. Donington Park, however, although a long track, very fast and flowy for the final round in 2 weeks' time, that will see some great racing as well. Now, I will let you vote for Driver of the Day by clicking that link that I posted, if you haven't already. F1 Delta says that was fun, so he is a happy bunny indeed. Let's have a quick look at those results one more time. I will leave them on your screen whilst I jump to Discord and see if this works. We've had some technical issues today, haven't we? So what we need now to top it all off is to drag Martin Wallace for ZFG into the box, because he finished P2 in race 2, a podium for that man. And let's see if he can hear me and I can hear him. Martin, welcome.
Thank you. I can hear you.
Yes, no VPN needed. That's a win, UAE government. I am allowed to talk to people outside the country. Yes, ZFG, America, number 20, Martin Wallace, P2 to P2. You held on. It was a great race. And do you know what? Kieran Dempsey was not getting away from you, was he, at the start? And then just in the late phase of the race, I'm guessing he looked after his tyres a bit better. Just dropped back in the late half. But how was that for you? Was it boring, or was you just happy to be left alone out there for that second race?
Definitely not boring. I was stressed a little bit. I think Kieran's draft helped me pull away from Yan quite a bit. And I think Kieran took care of his tires a lot better than I did, because I had nothing at the end as far as tires go.
And yeah, let's talk about Jan a second, because he also was not being pulled away from, and he held on to P3 for a majority of the race. Do you have any words?
I think once I broke the draft from him, that's kind of where it I would say fell apart, I guess. Maybe that's not the right word, but there was a lot of pressure. I kept looking at my relative, hoping that time would get a lot bigger, and it never did.
I am wondering, with how long Jan held on to P3, if Dan Thornton's watching this thinking what could have been. I wonder if he could have done it. But you just got mugged at the end. Did you see that? Could you see the battle in your mirror? Because they weren't far behind. You got Daniel Downing and Stephen Burns, I think, both came through at the same time, and then he had the Husingveld boys behind him. Could you see any of that?
I could definitely see it, and I wanted them to fight a lot more, because had they gotten through cleanly and quickly, I think I was next on the list.
Oh, well, you've done it. It's a P2. It's a solid points finish. Greg Otley, P11 as well for ZFG, so it's a double points finish in race 2. Let me just remind myself, obviously, race 1 was a little bit different. Tell us about your race 1. Greg Otley was P9, so there was still some strong points, but 23rd was it for yourself?
Yeah, we got into it a little bit and got spun. and in the traffic, it's a little hard to make passes around here without losing 5 to 6 seconds at a time. So I kind of sat back and tried to pick them off one by one, and it just didn't work out the way I wanted it to.
That is sometimes the case, but it was interesting. Tell us how. This is the last question, and then I'll let you do your shout outs and let you go. But how was that? I mean, it's difficult actually to ask you because you were in P2 for the majority of the race. But that race 2 was definitely the cleanest race 2 that we've had. And on the track map, it did look like everyone was still in the same train. Was it, from your perspective, did it look like it and feel like it was much better, even though it was stressful?
Oh, absolutely. Every time I looked in the rearview mirror, the same folks that basically started with me were still there. So it didn't look like there was anything major happening across the track.
Well, that is good to hear. Snetterton next. How you feeling about that?
I've got to go figure out that track. Never turned a lap there, so it'll be interesting.
I think a lot of people are in the same boat on that one. Well, thanks for talking to us, Martin. Anyone you want to shout out before I let you go back into the interview room?
Obviously the ZFG crew, you for putting this on, Kyle's mom for watching, she's out there, and Greg Otley, he's holding it down for ZFG this season. I think he's well above me in points, so we just got to keep this momentum going. Hopefully we can get some more good points at Snetterton.
Great to hear. Thank you, Martin. We'll speak to you soon.
Right on. Thanks, man.
Congratulations to that man. Deserves a solid P2. He does. Where else shall we go with these conversations? Who shall we speak to? So, just remind myself of the order. We got the Husingveld boys, Roman Persky with a win, Fabian Siegman and Kyle Ridley, and Kieran Dempsey, I think. Martin Wallace we just spoke to. Dan Downing will normally disappear because he has to drive. This is some news actually. Let's tell all the fans about this. Dan Downing drives a whole hour back home straight after this race because his rig is elsewhere. So that's commitment for that man, as well as obviously the Australians who are obviously committed because they get up super early sometimes for this. And it's much appreciated. Thank you to those of you that have stuck it out with us. And thank you to all of you new drivers that have joined us on the Racing Line channel. And thank you to all you viewers who are watching either with me, Jack Johns, on the Racing Line or VCO eSports. Now, let's do 2 more chats. I'll check the driver of the day votes, and then we will call it a night because it is getting close to midnight for me. Let's speak to Kyle. Let's bring the Win It or Bin It man up here. He finished P3 in race 1, P8 in race 2. It's a solid day for Mr. Ridley. How are you feeling?
Oh, hi, Jack. Yeah, good. I actually didn't expect to get an interview today, but yeah, it's a good day. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, well, it was a solid race. I mean, P3, the P3 didn't look like it came too easy. I mean, you held on to P2 for a while, and then it looked like Patrick was putting you under pressure towards the end there. He had one opportunity to make a move, and then kind of it didn't look like you gave him another opportunity after that. So was it stressful in that first race to try and keep that podium?
Oh, yeah. I mean, those Husingveld guys, I don't know what. They've turned the turbo boost up. I can't keep up with them, but yeah, with Patrick, it was get the exits because the draft in this car is pretty ineffective, so you just get a good exit and they can't touch you. So as soon as I realized he was going to be there, that's what I did, and it worked well. Got a P3 in a pure. Got a P3 in a in the first race, which is always the one where it's the pace. So I'm happy with it.
That's right. That's the one, isn't it? That's the quali order in the order that you're technically arranged by speed, so it's the one that's, you don't want to say more skillful, but it's the one that technically is raced on by pace is what you're saying. But and then the overtaking ability comes in the second race. Talk us, I wouldn't be doing my job properly if I didn't ask, actually. It's just popped into my head. Talk us through the contact with one of the NSR cars. I've forgotten who it was, but we just about caught the end of it.
So John passed him first, and he squeezed him, and they had their contact, which put him towards me. And he's quite a defender, I would say. But through the turn 5, I went to go for the sweeping line on the outside. I just got my nose there, and then he just diagonaled and caused himself to turn. So I don't know how you'll see it. For me, it's an NFA, but that's your decision.
Of course, well, it'll all get watched.
If
but
he left the room, yeah, if you left the room, I would have made that move pretty cleanly.
Of course, we've got a Tony Ann Ridley in chat. Is that? Do you know who that is?
I've got no idea who that might be.
It says Carl's mum watches all his races. Cheers, Martin. Lol. You got Elena VN says still watching. Peace sign. That'll be Mrs. Dan Downing. And Dan Thornton says definitely cheered for Jan and glad he got a good result, even if it wasn't a podium. Did you? I don't know how much you could see because obviously there's a lot going on in your area of race 2. For that sort of midfield fight is always extremely tight, which is great to watch. But could you see? Well, you would have seen him near the end. Jan Weiswanger was just ahead of you, but he was in P3 for a lot of the race. You want to say any words to the legend that is Jan Weiswanger?
He did well. Jan sometimes doesn't do too well, but today he did really well. Kept his nose clean and got a good result. I just saw him. I was thinking, one more lap and I might get him. But that's reverse grid racing. You need more laps to get them. But
it is.
Keep your nose clean, you can get good results.
That's it. It's a different experience, this full reverse grid, and I mean, the first 2 were questionable because they both needed a safety car realistically, but this one seemed to be pretty clean. Although there were accidents, but these were more normal accidents rather than that's because it's a reverse grid, if you know what I mean. But a great result, I think, Carl. To be honest, double points. So we'll see. Is there anyone you want to say hello or thank you to before I let you go?
Just TRL and yourself, I guess, for the host, winner or binner, and the auxiliary team. And I'll thank my mum, but she's already been thanked, so yeah.
Okay, thank you very much, Carl. We'll speak to you soon.
Thank you.
I love it when people shout out their mums. Mums and girlfriends, it's always the favourite shout out, I think. And sometimes grandparents with a few drivers as well when they're perhaps funding the what can we call this? The hobby. The hobby of sim racing. We got time for one more interview. Let's have a quick look at the driver of the day poll. And then maybe we'll choose that person, or if it's someone we've already spoke to, then I'll speak to one other person. Or I'll put it to chat. Is there anyone you want to hear from that I might be able to speak to? I think Roman Persky's still there. We might drag him up. Obviously race winner in race 1. Let's show the results of your votes. Oh, it's pretty even across the board. I might have to post it again because there are currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 drivers on an even vote. So let's do one more interview before that needs to get sorted. Who should we pick? I've got a feeling a driver just voted for themselves and tipped it over, tipped it over the vote. But let's bring him into the box. It's Roman Persky, race 1 winner, and then I keep forgetting where everyone's finished. You were P6 in the next race. So solid points, but your teammate edged you out again, Roman. What's happening?
On the second race?
Yeah.
We were basically stick together for the whole race. And basically, I prepared an attack. I went through. He managed to follow through. And then sometimes we swapped positions. And in the end, he was in front.
Yeah, I did.
I mean,
I didn't know if you were fully working together, but obviously it's the smarter thing to do when you're both trying to cut through the field like that and the top 16 score points. It looked like a very close move with you and Greg I've just seen on screen. Greg Otley. It's a lovely slow motion tap there carried on. He edged you out in that race, but realistically you were both working together to come through the field, I imagine. Race 1, pretty solid from yourself, defended him, but similar to Knock Hill. Pulled away, had the gap for most of the race, led all the way, and then in that closing stage, he just closed in. What's he doing differently?
I don't know. Maybe he manages to preserve the tires a bit more over the stint. In the end, it drops a bit. Maybe there's a bit of the draft effect coming in here. But yeah, the race 1 was stressful. I knew any small mistake I make will cost me probably the position here. Because Fabi is just... He's not making any mistakes.
Has he got a different set of Husingveld pedals? Is that what it is?
I cannot tell. Sorry.
Yeah, can't answer that one. It's still a solid points round, and I think definitely in terms of teams championship, that's maybe not out of reach, but that's definitely going to have extended that lead massively now because it was a 1-2 and then a 5 and 6. It might even be a done deal, to be honest, halfway through. But Goldwing probably your closest rivals before this, actually, and both of them finishing out the points in that race too. So that's definitely helped for sure. But always strong, and the drivers know it. Are you going to become a victim of your own success? Are you finding people fighting you harder, or is it just casual racing right now?
Casual, no, good racing throughout. I mean, here and there, surely it gets a bit tight, but everyone is driving fair. I don't feel like we are getting special treatment in any way here right now.
That's good to hear. I think, well, I'm trying to think back. I know if I was on the grid,
that comment.
Yeah, no. Yeah, maybe. Maybe it's my fault. I've egged everyone on. I just know if I was on the grid, I'd get bullied. That's the only thing. But if you keep winning, you're going to get bullied. That's what happens. The success. Jake, well, then again, Jake Cranston didn't do the Clio, but he's won almost every other league. And I think people stopped letting him through. It took him 2 seasons before they stopped sort of letting him through. You're not being let through. You guys are racing hard. These cars are great to race, great to watch. I'm a little bit jealous I'm not out there. I might try and find another one after this to take part in. But before I let you go, Roman, I'm going to call it there. You were, let me just double check, you were driver of the day with a little cheeky extra vote there, which I'm suspicious it was you.
Oh, actually, no.
It wasn't you? Well, you got it then.
Nope.
You definitely got the driver of the
Robert
day
was
vote. Oh, yeah,
awesome.
maybe. So well done on that. Is there anyone, before I let you go, that you want to say hello or thank you to?
As always, everyone from the team that's watching. And surely, I forgot last time, my wife, for making it possible for me to drive here in the evening.
Oh, you can't forget that one. That's an important thank you. That you have to do that every time now. Otherwise, you'll be in trouble. Thank you for joining me, Roman. I'll see you at practice for Snetterton, I imagine.
Yeah. See you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye. Always good to speak to the Husink Veld boys. Duncan Murray says, thanks, bud. All the best. See you in 2 weeks. Well run league. Oh, thank you, Duncan. Well, it means a lot. This will be not the last one, but the last one for a while after this season. So thank you for anyone that's joining us. Obviously, hopefully no more frame rate issues. First time we've had that for a little while. And yeah, appreciate everyone that is here. Thank you, Zenithalator, for joining. Thank you, Kakula, for being with us this season. Takes amazing photographs. But yeah, definitely for over the summer, it will be a significant break from leagues. Potentially track guides will continue. And then who knows what will be next. Realistically, if we stuck to the same calendar, it would likely be a return of the Jetta Cup in the winter. But nothing confirmed, no announcements just yet. But thank you nonetheless, everyone that's watched across all 4 channels, VCO eSports and the Racing Line, all the drivers on the grid, new and old, all of your team bosses and supporters that are in chat, and family members, of course, and supporters of myself and any of the drivers. It means a lot. Thank you very much. If I don't see you on track this week, then I'll see you next week for the next video here on the Racing Line. Peace.